All right, ladies and gentlemen, today's video, we are going to be following up on the story about 4chan and the UK Online Safety Act that we discussed in yesterday's video. But we are going to follow up with something a little bit different, but also in the same realm that's happening right now out of the EU and the UK. So the Dutch regulator is apparently pressuring X, Facebook, TikTok, and other social media companies to enforce the EU censorship rules ahead of the October election. Unelected regulators and digital giants huddle to redraw the boundaries of acceptable speech weeks before the Netherlands vote. And of course, it's a woman. Why am I not surprised? So, this entire situation, the reason why I am tying it to the 4chan situation is because, in case you guys didn't see my video yesterday, 4chan dropped an epic response against Ofcom, and basically Ofcom wanted 4chan to censor themselves and adhere to their new rules and new policies. And if they didn't, they were going to fine them 20,000 plus a day with extra penalties if they didn't comply. And 4chan's lawyers, which one of them is Ron Coleman, shout out to Ron Coleman, basically summarized is go fuck yourself. That's essentially what it is. 4chan is a United States company and they are incorporated in Delaware. They have no establishment, assets, or operations in the United Kingdom, and any attempt to impose or enforce a penalty against 4chan will be resisted in U.S. federal court. They basically told them to go fuck themselves, which is great. Well, apparently, that's not where it ends because they want to control as much as they possibly can. And they will do anything they can in order to ensure that they get it. So let's see exactly what is going on here. Dutch authorities are once again leaning on tech companies to act as speech enforcers in the run-up to the national elections. The country's competition regulator, the Authority for Consumers and Markets, has summoned a dozen major digital platforms, including X, Facebook, and TikTok, to a meeting on September 15th. Now, keep in mind, guys, notice how almost nothing here has to do with kids, right? Almost none of it has to do with anything child related. I thought this was the UK Online Safety Act. I thought it was about kids. Why are we talking about elections? Why are we talking about any of this stuff? Seems a little bit odd to me. It almost is like, or it's almost as if it has nothing to do with the kids in the first place, but we all kind of knew that anyway. The goal is to pressure these companies into clamping down on whatever officials define as supposed disinformation or illegal hate content before voters cast their ballots on October 29th. It's almost as if the EU and the UK want to make the entire world into what Twitter was like, not even just a few years ago. Everybody who has been on Twitter for a long time, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Where old school Twitter was essentially one of the most censorious platforms ever known to man. I'm not even kidding. Old school Twitter, you couldn't say a single thing that it was even remotely not left wing. If you did, forget about it. You are either banned, shadow banned, completely deleted, whatever. Like you were censored all the way to the moon and you had no way to fight it back. That is what old school Twitter was like. And it seems like the EU wants to make the entire world like that in order to get control over whatever narrative they may want to push at the time around election season. EU regulators and civil society groups will be present at the session, reinforcing a growing trend where supposed unelected bureaucrats, activist organizations, and corporate gatekeepers coordinate to shape public conversation online. Now, I don't understand, again, what does any of this have to do with protecting the children? I don't know. I got to imagine it's zero. It's absolutely zero, just like we all knew was going to be. Central to the effort is the EU's new online censorship law, the Digital Services Act, a law that hands governments broad authority to demand content removals based on vague shifting definitions like harmful or illegal. I actually talked about this the other day in another video, and I said whenever they use terms like harmful, they're doing that because they want to be able to control whatever the fuck they want to control. And the more vague they can make it, the easier it's going to be to control whatever that thing may be. So if they can claim that, I don't know, being straight is harmful, well, guess what? Time to lock pretty much 98% of the population up at that point. They can just claim something is harmful without actually proving it's harmful, and then they'll get it censored, banned, or whatever, or taken down. That's their entire goal. That's the entire point of all of this stuff. But the ACM tasked with enforcing the DSA in the Netherlands is using this legislation to demand stronger content censorship from platforms in the lead up to the vote. ACM Director Manon said that platforms designated a very large online platform must take effective measures against illegal content and operate with transparent and diligent policies. Beneath the bureaucratic language is a clear push to sanitize online discussion before the public had a chance to weigh the issues themselves. Again, what the hell? Take effective measures against illegal content. What illegal content are you talking about? What illegal content are you even trying to bring up here? Is illegal content to you basically showcasing anything that might favor the opposite political party? Is that illegal content now? Or are you just making up whatever the fuck illegal is? Back in July, the ACM had already contacted these platforms and asked them to outline their strategies for ensuring what it calls electoral integrity. Bro, imagine being these people and calling up X and be like, hey, yeah, sir. So listen, we understand you're not in the same country as us. And we understand that our election means absolutely nothing to you. But we just want to make sure, what are you going to do for us? What are you going to do to ensure that we have, a clear and fair election? If you catch my drift, we need to make sure it's really fair. And by fair, we mean 98% to 2% on our favor. That's what we mean. So what are you going to do for us? How are you going to make this happen? Imagine the balls on these companies for doing this, or these government entities for doing this, not companies. The upcoming September meeting is designed to examine how these companies plan to enforce that goal, particularly regarding user-generated content during the campaign season. What is being marketed as a safeguard against threats to democracy is, in practice, a tightening of the boundaries around what people are allowed to say. The regulator is also encouraging users to report directly if they believe platforms have mishandled flagged content, setting up a system that can be easily gamed to suppress dissent. While officials claim this is about transparency, the real issue remains unaddressed. Who exactly gets to determine what counts as dangerous or misleading? Well, we already know who does. It's Ofcom. It's the government, right? They're the ones who are saying what is allowed and what's not allowed. They're the ones who are going to decide what is considered disinformation and what's considered harmful or even illegal. They're the ones. So after a certain point, it's going to be everything. Everything's going to be illegal. Everything's going to be disinformation. Everything is going to be problematic. And then you're going to end up with this particular situation where you have a outside, government entity trying to go after a U.S. company and trying to bully them through political means. That shit is not gonna fly. This is what happens when you push too far. This is what happens when you don't know how to just take it slow, take the little win that you got with your Online Safety Act and go about your day. Oh, no, no, no. You got your win with the Online Safety Act, and now you're trying to go balls to the wall and go after the entire world. And that shit is going to backfire in your face spectacularly. It is only a matter of time. So you guys can let me know, what do you think about this entire situation, this crazy situation with the Dutch and how the supposed election interference and all that? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. And if you enjoyed it, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. And I will see you guys on the next one.